Good morning, and welcome to my live chat to anybody who appears. And it looks like there is nobody here, but it has been 8 seconds. Okay. Oh, look at that. Hello, Mallory. Good to see you here. I just got here myself. I hope you haven't been waiting too long. What time is it? Oh, yeah, well, I had to do shit. Oh, look at, and we have another visitor. I have a T-shirt. Okay. And my wife says I only have two faults. Well, not only. I don't listen. That's something else, which is normal. Normal. Uh, so yesterday was the wife's day off. And she decided that, we had to clean up. We had to clean up my closet, she says. Well, it's a walk in, walk through, whatever you want to call it. And I have T-shirts, tons of T-shirts, apparently a lot of T-shirts. But, I fold them my way, and she has a different way of folding, of course. And so then I started folding my T-shirts. And she's like, give them to me. I do it faster than you. It's like, oh my God, really? So she color coordinated them, folded them smaller. So now instead of having 3 piles, I now have 5 piles, of course. And no room whatsoever. Because, I don't know, I must have at least 40 or 50 of them. So I've decided every time I have a reading of some sort, I'm going to put on a new T-shirt with a logo, and some of them are inappropriate. Well, of course. And some of them are not. Some of them are concert T-shirts. Well, I don't think they fit anymore. They are from the 80s. I mean, I got Bowie T-shirts from the Serious Moonlight Tour. When was that, right? And some of you were going like, who the hell is Bowie? And yeah, so I've got all these T-shirts. I was wearing one on Saturday, and it says, I'm a bad influence, but fuck am I fun? And that's from my daughter, of course. It was her birthday party. She's the one that wanted to have it. It wasn't even it was her 38th. I mean, everybody showed up to go like, who the hell has a 38th birthday, right? Well, apparently she did. She had balloons up. She did everything herself, but we just had it at our place because, whatever. And it was great because all these guys that used to hang out, because they'd come to parties that we had pre-COVID. Like, this is the first barbecue that we've had that was not family and not pre-COVID. Like, everything that we had was always pre-COVID. We've had 2 family barbecues since then. Yeah, so we really liked the idea of having a barbecue. And I think we had about 30 or 40 people or something like that. But the thing is, when they used to show up pre-COVID, they were all younger. And now they're approaching 40. They were all gone by 10:30 because they have kids now. It's like, wow, I loved it. By 10:30, they were gone, and it was just my wife, my sister-in-law, and I sitting around and drinking the wine and just shooting the shit and giggling a lot. And then there was a big storm that happened. It was apparently there was thunder and lightning. That all came at 4 a.m, but we didn't hear it. But we did hear the rain coming at 2. And wow, it was a heavy rain. You know, the kind that when it falls on the ground makes a mist because it's coming so fast. Yeah. The best part is that in the afternoon, whilst preparing for the barbecue, we also had a sudden thunder shower as I was outside at the griddle. Yeah, we have one of those griddle things. My daughter gave it to us. She won it as a door prize, and she didn't want it. Said, "Do you want to have this?" I said, "Well, okay, I'll try." So yeah, so I love that thing now. And I put it on a cart. The neighbor gave us a cart because he worked in a warehouse, and they used to give him stuff all the time. And he gave us rolls and rolls of paper towel. We don't. It's like, what are we going to do with 7 rolls of paper towel that are industrial thing that big. We didn't even have room to put them. Whatevs, right? Yeah. So then I was standing out in the barbecuing, the griddling or whatever you call it. And then the rain came. It was bouncing. And I was like, oh, great. So I stood under the shelter, the little eaves that hangs over. I was standing under that. And then I would take 3 steps out, lift up the lid, flip over the onions that I was browning or whatever you call it, rendering down, right? Caramelizing, that's the word. I was, yeah, so I'd lift up the lid, I'd flip it around, put it back, step back out of the rain. And then finally, the rain kind of let down, and I said, "Hey, can you hold the bucket, the dish here, so that I can put it all in there and not get too much rain in it and all that stuff like that?" So she's like, "Okay." So she does that, and then I go, "Oh wow, man! Like that was hard rain. Like that was ridiculous." And then she looked at me and she said, "You know that cart has wheels, right?" Wow. Yeah, whatever, right? The cart has wheels. Yeah, I could have moved it anytime I wanted to, but oh, nay, nay. And this is my reading. I didn't. So there it is. But on the lighter side, or the brighter side, whatever you want to call it, I made up this, what do you call, I made up this sheet, and it was for, well, if anybody came up into my study. I didn't want to put it down on the table. I figured that was tacky. But it's signed and numbered first printing. My new book, trilogy, The Bridges of Rome, is going into print. 3 complete novellas in 1 volume. The first 100 copies will be signed and individually numbered, 1995 Canadian. Want one? Put your name down today, and I'll reserve your copy. I got 4. I made $80. Well, $40 because 2 paid in cash and 2 paid with IOUs. One's my nephew, and one was Murray. He's on here. He's a paid guy, and trying to get money out of him is hard, and I don't understand why, but whatever. And yeah, and then 2 cash. Like I loved it. So I'm on my way. So what it is I'm in the middle of doing a re-edit, a real quick re-edit. I'm 1/3 of the way through. I did it last night, and then I'll be doing it today, and then tomorrow, and then I will bring it into the printer around the corner after I put it on my little no, that's not the one. My little flash drive. Put it on there. I bring it into the guy. 2 weeks later, bada boom, bada bing. I'll have a book, and it's volume 1. And if you want to buy a copy, just go to what do you call it? Buy me a coffee, and I'll have to put a link on that after this goes. What do you call it? Oh, that goes behind the paywall though, but that's only $5 too. So yeah, paywall is $5 for the year, forever. Uh, the book is $19.95, but you can't put $19.95. You have to pay 20. I'll owe you a nickel. Canadian, that's at least 8 cents, isn't it? And then what I want is, but I want people to mail me a, what do you call those, postcard. And I asked this woman, Erin, and she paid cash. And I said, "Oh, I want it." She said, "Why do you want to have a postcard for?" I said, "Well, I want to have a postcard from everybody from all over the world." And she's a stewardess, and she said, "I'll send you a postcard from South Korea. I'm going to Seoul next week." And I went, "Oh, right on." So she's going to send me a postcard from Seoul, and what I'm going to do is put it in a big one of those big scrapbook things. And then I will have all these addresses, and every time I have a book, I can send people a copy. I mean, because once once I get things once I get things rolling, then it's like I should be able to afford this. Right now, I can't afford this. I have to charge it onto my writing card, which I just paid off, and now I'm going to I'm gonna load it up again. But yeah, that's why it costs 19.95 because but it's Canadian. What is that? $15 American or whatever. But what did I put it through chat and I asked chat how much novellas of 150 pages are selling for, and it said well, the big ones, the big writers, they're charging $22, $23. So I figured, okay, $20, I can break even, and I can actually make a second printing, a second run with that. I can actually get money and make money, which is what the whole idea, isn't it? I want to pay it off, and I want to make the extra money that I make. I want to put towards another run of 100, or just towards the next volume, which will be coming out shortly. We hope. Uh, and I also finished writing the novella that I was working on. What's it called? The Measure of Grief, which is the first in the Trojan cycle. And I'm excited about that one too. In fact, after I finish reading this story, and there's only next week, it will be finished. After I finish that, I am going to read The Measure of Grief. I'll be putting it out online on Saturday still, but I'm going to read it. And let me see, I will be putting it out next week. Will be the fourth installment. And then next week will be the last reading of this. And so it'll be it'll be like 5 or 6 chapters behind, which is okay. It's perfect. Because this goes out free, and then after it comes out with the what do you call it, the text or whatever, and all of that stuff, the tape part, I put that behind the paywall because, like, why not? It's cheaper to watch it free, anyways, isn't it? Yeah. So I got a lot of shit to do, a lot of stuff to do, I should say. Try not to swear. I try to be that word I'm looking for, normal. Actually, yeah, people don't really. Yeah, they do. Everybody I know swears. Better than anybody except for my brother, maybe. He doesn't really swear as much as, well, he does when I'm around. Industrial. It's industrial, right? That's the whole thing about us is that I'm an industrial guy, a blue collar guy, and grade 12. That's it. No university, college, whatever you want to call it. No anything. Just scars, missing digits, or partially. Yeah, scars, blood, sweat, and tears is what I gave. A lot. Lots of tears. Lots of sadness. When you work with people and they die on you, it hurts a lot. But whatever. Okay, so I'm going to read chapter 29 and 30. Oh, wow. I froze up. I can't believe it. I just caught that too. That's horrible. I'm going to be reading chapter 29 and 30 of my novel, The Beginner's Guide to Time Travel, or Beginner's Guide. I can't even remember the name of it. Unbelievable. Yeah, but I'm going to read 2 chapters of that, and this is concerning Steve. So that means it is in the future tense. No, not tense, just in the future. Okay, this is the reality of it all. If you've been paying attention and if you've been following along, then you realize that the time travel is a virtual reality game. I can say that. It's not a spoiler alert. There's only 2 chapters left after this. Okay, these are 4 chapters. There's only 2. So, I mean, if you don't know it now by now, right? Okay, so I'm going to try and keep my head up so you don't see the top of my head because I wore my hat because my hair's a mess. That's okay. Here we go. I just make some room here because it's a cluttered mess. And even though I cleaned because, I have to do that at the party. I was told I have to do that. She tells me what to do, and I go, okay, and then I don't, but I tell her I did. So yeah, I straighten things around. It's like, oh Jesus, I thought I did something. Oof, horrible. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 29. I looked up as the Cid unhooked me from the probes. I was looking over its head at Sandy coming out of the small room she'd been set up in. She looked as confused as I felt and was about to say something, but I shook my head, looking at the Cid. I didn't want us saying anything in front of it, just in case. I wanted to be certain it wasn't just me. She closed her mouth and came over to me, reaching out for my hand. She kissed it and laughed. You okay? She asked, and I nodded. So, was there another glitch? I asked in a soft whisper, my eyes on the SID, on the Cid. Or was it just me? She looked at me and nodded. Glitch? Why would you say that? The Cid asked, hanging the probes up on a hook on the wall across from us. I wondered that it could hear us. Nothing registered as a glitch. No, I said. Nothing? But that time guide showed up again. I saw him too, Sandy said. Funny how he always says he's your brother, isn't it? But I remembered him from the last time I saw him. The time I said he killed Wit. The time guide. Why would he enter your game? The Cid asked. And why would he kill someone? Time guides don't kill characters. They can't. What do you mean they can't? I asked. We never know when he's going to show up, for one thing, it said, opening the doors to both rooms we'd been in. Or in which timeline, for that matter. Which one? What do you mean? How many timelines are there? Sandy asked. She was searching her pack, looking for her ID pouch, looking frantic for a moment. Timelines, the Cid said, considering the question. 3 or 4, just in this link alone, I think. Maybe it fell out when you were inside, I suggested. What have you mislaid? The Cid asked. My ID profile seems to be missing. She gave me the pack and walked back into the room. She turned the lights on. I could hear her moving the equipment before she came out a moment later, holding the pouch up like a treasured icon. I suppose it was, considering all of her information is locked away on the tiny chip card inside. While most of us have easy access to everything with a simple retinal ID scan and a nano check, some people had parents who refused to conform for whatever reason they may have had. I guess a good word to describe them would be anti-establishment. Sandy's parents were avid supporters. There wasn't anyone else around when we were inside, was there? I asked. No, just me, the Cid said. Dwayne goes home long before you get here. Dwayne? Who's Dwayne? I asked, looking at Sandy. Dwayne? He's usually here in the morning. No, wait, he's always here in the morning. Sorry, because he opens up. Is he a time guide? Sandy asked. Dwayne? The Cid said, with what was almost a laugh. No, he fixes the machines whenever something goes wrong. He does the home installations, too. He fixes them, I said. Why? Did they break down a lot? Nah, it said, so typical for a Cid trying to emulate the crowd and off at most affixes to, I thought. He was trying to look busy, though, wiping things down, and for a moment, I thought maybe it was trying to avoid our questions. It left the room. I looked over at Sandy, and she moved closer, dropping her voice. This Dwayne person, do you think he's a Cid? Not everyone knows how to fix these things, the Cid said, coming back into the room. They don't hire Cids to work on the equipment. Dwayne is a sentient being. You can hear us from the other room, she asked. My enhanced auditory assemblage allows me to hear up to 100 meters away. Why would you need that? I asked. It's one of the features Dwayne felt needed to be enhanced. Dwayne did it? Why? If you can hear a whisper up to 100 meters, how can the clients have private conversations? It's all discretionary. Discretionary. Does that mean someone's listening in? Dwayne had to take special classes. I guess it helps that he has his own system. He has a system of his own, I asked. So tell me, Sandy asked. You said a couple of times about doing this from home. You can do that. Well, obviously you can, but what I mean is exactly how do they do that? Oh, some of our clients go all out, but you still have to hire someone who knows how to work, or the cryo chamber. You can rent the small portable models here as well. Portable, I said. Sure. Again, you still need a place to do it. We don't recommend you do it alone. So if you rent one of the portables, you still need someone who can sync it up with your home's natural AI for the first time. You need to have someone around who knows what they're doing. A SID, like yourself. It's not as good as doing it here, of course, but you get to lay down in the comfort of your own home. With the SID, I asked again. That's got to count for something, right? I mean, it only feels like you're gone for a long time. In real time, it's still just an hour. That's the beauty of the game, though. If you buy the system, you can go on it for an hour a night, every night, and live an entirely different life. If you rent it, you can only rent it for 2 days at a time. And the SID is part of the package then. I don't know people actually I didn't know people actually bought these things, Sandy said, more to herself. We sell at least 2 a week, the Sid replied. And Dwayne sets them up, I said, trying a new tack in my line of questioning. It's probably a good idea if he oversees the installation, but sometimes people do it themselves. It depends on which system they buy. Dwayne usually takes care of that stuff. And so he sets up the cryo chamber by syncing it with the AI the first time, I said. That's what we recommend, but you say the system can still be hacked into, Sandy said. Any system can be hacked into if you know what you're doing, the Sid replied. Have the AP talked to you yet? Sandy asked. Why would the AP want to talk with me? He said. If a machine could look nervous, then the Sid was trying everything it could not to. It didn't break out in a sweat like a human would have, but the graphics in its cone-shaped glass head were buzzing. It rocked back and forth 2 or 3 times before settling itself down. No reason. I was just wondering, Sandy said. They were looking for some intel from us the other day, and I told them we were here. I thought they may have come by and talked to you. They didn't talk, and Dwayne never said anything. Well, he's the one they'd want to talk to, isn't he? I said. We took the shuttle bot home. I suppose we were both lost in our own thoughts, trying to sort out what we'd just been through, because the flight was quiet. I sat watching the sun go down with a vivid palette of colors and found myself staring out of the window, looking out at the city spread out below us. From my earliest youth, I've always enjoyed watching the sun as it sets. I especially like the way the lights reflect off the buildings, but tonight I was staring into the void, trying to sort things out in my head and decide if we should jump back into the game or wait until the killer was arrested. At least the avatar for Jeline hadn't died yet, and I knew that was something we both agreed on. But a part of me wondered how long before she died, too. That was followed with me asking myself if it was even her body they'd found. How was I going to find that out? And how come Jen wasn't with him the last time? Did you see Jen? I asked, suddenly looking up. I mean, tonight. At any time. She shook her head. No, it was just Jimmy. He showed up alone. Do you suppose that means something? I don't know. Are you remembering anything from the other timeline? Like what? Anything, I said, shrugging. Nope. Well, nothing that I want to talk about. Neither here nor there, I said. What I mean is, we should still be able to remember the first timeline because we didn't die in it. The glitch tossed us into the other timeline. So, if we didn't die, we should remember, right? Okay, but we're done. But we don't, do we? What are we trying to say? What are you trying to say? I think the time guide's erasing evidence. Jimmy. That's why he has to come here and erase the characters' avatars. He's wiping the game clear by wiping the first timeline out of our collective memories. What exactly do you mean he's erasing memories? He came back to personally take us through to this new timeline, remember? That's when he killed Wit. Even if we didn't see it or think we did, we now know he killed Wit because Wit died in the new timeline. That's when he got us out of our heads. You said the girl died. How? She was beaten to death. They beat her every night. And you remember it. All of it, she said. I was quiet for a moment and then looked up at her. We got to call it AP. Jen and Jared need to know. Do you think they'll talk to us? Why wouldn't they? I nodded, agreeing, and then called out to the AI, Allison. Hello, Stephen, she responded. Check the records, do facial recognition on the two APs that were here the other day, and send them a message. It doesn't matter which of them you contact. There's only one AP available. What do you mean? I asked. It appears the man known as Jared is no longer with the AP. You mean he quit? Sandy asked. He was killed while on duty. What? When? I asked. 2 nights ago. How? Sandy asked. Details are not forthcoming, but apparently he was in his home. Get hold of Jen from the AP. I don't know anything else about her. Use the recognition program. Tell her we have new information she needs to hear. We do? Sandy said. Jen arrived 2 hours later. She looked exhausted. There were dark rings under her eyes and her skin was pale. She looked like she hadn't slept in days, and I thought she probably hadn't slept since her partner was killed. I met her down by the chute as the door to the tube slid open at the same time. We just heard what happened, I said by way of greeting. Is that why you called me? To offer me your condolences? Of course not, I told her. We reached the salon and Sandy came in, immediately hugging her. Jen seemed to melt into Sandy's arms for a brief moment and then straightened herself up. She stepped back, looking embarrassed, and then sat down in a nearby chair. She was hugging herself, perched on the edge of the chair, her left foot tapping a restless stutter. She stopped, looking up, and tried to smile as she sat back in the chair, drying her eyes. I'm sorry, Sandy said. We both are. Stephen just doesn't know how to say it yet. He's still a work in progress. Aren't they all? Jen smiled. Do they know what happened? I asked. By they, you mean me, right? No, I don't know what happened, she said with a slow shake of her head. I'm only asking because we went into our game and met up with the time guide again. And what's the significance of that? She asked. It wasn't the fact that you weren't with him, Sandy said, but the fact that he didn't mention you. In fact, when we asked where you were, he just brushed the whole thing off. He said he'd lost you and left it at that. He didn't lose me. I left the game, she said. How can I go back in there and think I'm helping you? What with what happened to Jared, I mean? How was he killed? He drowned. Can you believe that? At home. Drowned, Sandy said. How? In his thermos? How can he drown in that? They don't even use water. He was outside up on the roof. Someone hit him from behind and he fell. It would have been all right, except that it was raining. He never got up again. He was lying in a puddle. Why was he on the roof? Records show someone wanted to talk to him, but that's all they say. AI doesn't acknowledge any incoming messages. There was someone else that was attacked the other day, I said. Was it a woman? Jen nodded. A pregnant woman, Sandy added. It wasn't a question. It's been all over the hollow, Jen said. Another victim, they're calling her, except she isn't dead yet. Is she pregnant? They never said she was pregnant, did they? Sandy said. Jen looked at her. Jen shook her head once. No, they didn't. So they didn't say anything because they want to keep her safe, I said. I never said that either. Then why? Sandy asked. She's in a coma. They all go into a coma before they die, remember? Some are in it for days, or maybe 2 days, some for a week. All of them, I said. She nodded. Some of them shouldn't even be in a coma. The wounds aren't that extensive, and today, in this day and age, people don't die like that. People are given nanobots when they're born. 25 megs, no disease, and certainly no violent deaths. Drownings, but no knife wounds or laser bolts, and blunt force trauma to the head, the bots will repair it. So why go into a coma? She's going to be in a coma for a long time. She's in our timeline. But you already know that, don't you? She nodded again. So if we keep her alive in the game, she'll be alive out here, I said. She hasn't died in the game yet? Jen asked. Why do you say that? Sandy asked. I think I know the answer, I said. What? The Sid was telling us a story about some guy who had a heart attack playing the game. But that wasn't it, was it? I said. She looked at me, tilting her head just enough to tell me she was listening. I looked at Sandy and then looked outside. The sun had set long ago and the city lights appeared bright. The skybots looked like line drawings on the dark page, their lights like tiny holes in the paper. We had a preamble going into our game, I said, and Sandy was nodding even before I looked at her. I remember. But did you? I asked Jen. You said the other day that you made it through the game without getting killed. You're a time guide. That's why you were put on the case. Problem is, it was Jared who was the lead investigator, wasn't it? Why do you think that? He was close to figuring out who it was, wasn't he? Sandy asked. He had a list, she said. Did he show it to you? I asked. He didn't, did he? Again, why do you think that? Because he's dead and you're not. The only thing missing is his list. Am I right? We can't find it, no. It's been more than 3,000 years since the real cataclysm, I said after a moment, purposely changing the subject. Can you ever imagine what it must have, can you even imagine what it must have been like? The world's come a long way since then, maybe too far. Like the Sid said, that's the big draw when it comes to VR. People want to know what it was like back then. They want realism. So much so that you can die in the game and experience that as well. Is that why you played it? Because you get a total of 5 lives when you play the elite systems, don't you? 5 lives in a market that seldom offers players more than 1. With the others, if you die, you don't start over again until you pay. With elite, if you don't die, they promote you. That must be worth a fortune to someone like you. And what is someone like me? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But there is something about you, isn't there? You're not normal. Stephen, what are you going on about? Sandy asked and then turned to Jen. Does that mean you're not working on the case anymore? Is that what he's hinting at? No, I just excuse me. No, I just need a little me time. I have to sort this shit out. Sandy began shaking her head. No. Look, I'm sorry your friend's dead. I truly am. He seemed like such a nice guy, too. It looked like you guys had fun, but this isn't going to go away, me time or not. He's coming to get us next. And when I say us, I mean you, too. Good. I hope he tries, Jen said, looking up sharply. Why? Sandy said. Why? Because I'll be waiting for him. That's why I say let him try. This guy's no simpleton. He knows how to hack into a system and piggyback himself around. That's what he's been doing with us. He knows who we are in the real world, doesn't he? But we don't know him, do we? She said. And then he killed Jared. And he tried to kill Jeline, Whit's wife. But she's pregnant in the new timeline. She wasn't in the first one. She was beaten to death in that first timeline, or I thought she was. That's why he showed up when he did. He has to kill the game version of her character's avatar for whatever sick reason he has. And then he'll kill us and move on to his next gamers. And what is it, Jeline? And what is Jeline to Wit outside of the game? Were they married? No. They were having an affair. Of that we can be certain. The world's not built on certainties, Sandy said. Isn't it? Jen said. We think she got pregnant in the game. That's impossible, I said. The only thing we can be certain of is that he's not going to kill us in the VR world before he does it out here first, Sandy said. And that's why I say, let him come, Jen replied. I don't think you understand what Sandy's saying, I said. No? And why's that? Well, he's going to kill us, all of us. How can he do that and hope to get away with it? You can't get away with murder these days. There are too many variables. You have scenarios run by AI looking at every possible angle. If you can think of it, they'll match you. Isn't that right? Isn't that what all the adverts say? But we're talking about a guy who can hack into the world's most sophisticated gaming system. What makes you think he can't hack into the AI, into the AP and change things? When are you going to go back into the game? She asked. I was thinking tonight, I said. That's why we wanted to talk to you. I'm not going back in, she said. Well, he suspects something. He already knows I'm with the AP. He obviously got intel on everyone he uses to get into the game. Why would he know about us? Why do you think he chose you? Do we fit in a specific profile? I asked. It's probably more simple than that. How many credits are you worth? She looked around the room. What is this, the 40th floor? 44. Did you inherit your credits? I nodded. I suggest you stay out of the game for a while. At least until we get him. We still have 9 sessions left, Sandy said, and we bought a system for here. And it'll still be here waiting for you after we nail this bastard. All right. Chapter 30. It's not difficult to understand why the Age of Cataclysm is such a popular VR game. Even without the 5 free lives they give you, I'm pretty certain people would have still bought into it because it has so much more to offer than other VR games. That's because people are interested in the past, not just the past 3,500 years since the Cataclysm, but the years before that as well. All the events that you come across when you're playing the game happened at one time or another. The Slaver Wars lasted for 20 years, but we purposely didn't buy into that package because we wanted to experience what life was like before the revolt. The Slaver Wars take place 70 years after the events in our own timeline. The world we presently live in, has changed drastically following the cataclysm. Governments falling was hardly an issue, with whole countries disappearing without a trace. 95% of the world's population was wiped out in a single world shattering event. History, as we know it, changed forever in the year 2163. Before that, history was referred to as before the cataclysm, the pre-cataclysmic age, an idealized age of innocence, whereas after, it's simply referred to as after the cataclysm. If you study history, and there are endless branches you can go into, you discover that the technology of the ancients survived enough to bring the world out of what people now commonly refer to as the darkness. The darkness lasted a full 2 centuries. That's when the world was locked in its mini ice age. When the ice finally melted, it brought forth a strange new world. Those that emerged after the darkness were more than just emaciated. They were also free of all the bonds that held them. Those few who kept the knowledge and wisdom of the ancients were able to rebuild the world anew. By 526 ATC, we'd advanced as a civilization beyond all imagining. We'd even recreated manned flight. Over the next 3,000 years, we rebuilt the world and genetically remodified life itself. With the development of AI, life changed. While some will say it changed for the better, others, like Sandy's parents, felt the societal strictures that were being forced on what they called a docile population had to be fought against. The more radical of them refused to take part in the nano program. It was artificial intelligence as it was meant to be. As the child ages, the nanobots grow and reproduce within the host's body. They fight childhood diseases, mend broken bones, and increase life expectancy itself. Those few radicals who refused to accept the gifts AI who accepted the gifts hadn't seen for generations. That's the side of life I know. At 37 years old, I've lived what could only be called a privileged life. My credits have been inherited from past generations. It seems one of my ancestors was instrumental in the development of nanotech. I couldn't tell you what he did unless I looked it up. I'd never been interested enough to do that. All I know is that there are enough credits for my family to survive another 100 generations. I have everything a man could want. I've traveled and lived a life of leisure and ease. I've been to the Martian colonies, spent 2 years of my youth on Moonbase Alpha, seen the underwater cities on Titan. So when the Age of Cataclysm was introduced, why wouldn't I want to try it out? Why wouldn't I want to own the game myself? Why wouldn't I buy it? The first time we looked into the booking time in the game, we took my private Skybot to the Elite Gaming Center. It was a short 25-minute flight. I always insisted on being allowed to fly it myself, of course, which is why AI always refused to permit me. She was starting to get on my nerves, and I told her, "It's for your own protection, Steve," she said. I've always liked the view of the city from above, though. The greater the height, the better the view. Maybe it's because I like to distance myself from the false dichotomy of what life is like down there in the real world. It's a hard one to call, but As the sun came up over the distant mountains, striking the buildings and reflecting off the windows, I could feel my heart racing in anticipation. Like I said, I've lived a life of golden privilege. Sandy's childhood was the complete opposite of mine. Her parents lived without the influence of technology. They lived within the realms of what you'd call the wasteland, or what's left of them. Civilization has encroached, Sandy's father once said to me. I suppose that's the reason we chose the game program we did. Sandy was drawn to the idea of what life was like outside the city's influence, while I was intrigued with the idea of living in the wild. I did wonder how I was expected to survive with no worldly experience, though. The Cid was the one to show us all the options we could choose from before we went into stasis for the first time. It also set up our initial introduction to our two avatars, Wit and Jaylene, explaining that it was always better to make allies and travel in groups. It helped us write our past life information before sending it out, before sending us out on our hero's journey. But if we're going to know all of this before going into the game, I pointed out, won't that spoil it for us? You won't remember any of this, the Cid said. The game wipes your mind clean, it went on. I could see that I was about to raise an objection. It could see that I was about to raise an objection and quickly corrected itself. The machine doesn't really wipe your mind clean. Not in the sense you might think it does. From what I understand, when you're in stasis, it's like sedation. Your mind's a blank. Okay, let's say it's a clean slate. That's probably a better way of explaining it. When you're in the game, you're making a different set of memories, new memories. You're not going to remember the first week or two of your adventure because the game's actually creating a history for you. You're going through what they call an orientation. It takes about 15 minutes. That's why the first time is always a little longer, 75 minutes, instead of 60. Just so you know, nothing dangerous is going to happen yet, I added. I suppose it was trying to, sorry, it added. I suppose it was trying to sound ominous and failing, but I had to give the Cid marks for at least trying. The scenario you've chosen involves building a complete history for your avatar, of you, based on the details of the past that you provided, and whatever details we pick up through public records, of course. You're not going to be doing much of anything. So if you've been involved in a crime, say, it's going to be reflected in the game somehow? Right. Say you choose to be a warrior. It tells you that you've always been a warrior. In fact, you come from a family of warriors and have an ancestry that goes back hundreds of years. You know how to use a sword and a bow? It's Doge the way it works. What happens when you die? Sandy asked. You simply start over again, but not in the same timeline. You can't beat the game by thinking you know what's going to happen because you've already done it once. It'll be the same scenario, sort of, but with a few minor changes. Say you die because there's a landslide and you didn't see the clues. What kind of clues can there be with a landslide? She asked. There's always going to be clues. When you go back into that timeline again, you can be sure you'll be looking for clues, only this time there'll be no landslide. Instead, there's a flash flood, or else a thunderstorm and you get hit by lightning, or maybe there's a stampede. You see what I mean? You got to be smart, sure, but you also got to make the right choices. How am I supposed to know what's right and what's going to kill me? I asked. You don't. That's the thing about it. You learn as you go along. You are a barbarian in a barbarian world. You have the same instincts. Want to be a huntsman? You'll be able to smell the scent of an animal on the wind. You'll already know how to make traps and how to skin an animal. The game isn't replacing your memories, it's giving you new ones. You don't know anything about this time. You don't even know it exists because you believe you're living in that time. So if we go in together, we'll probably be mated up in some way, I said. Probably. How long will it take to install? I asked. That depends on how much space you have, doesn't it? The Cid said, closing the brochure and sitting back. It took one last look at the contract before sliding it into the file folder. It slid the brochure across the table to Sandy, giving the folder to a service droid. I wondered if it was possible for a machine to feel smug about itself, having just nailed down a huge commission. And who gets that? I'll bet it goes to Dwayne, I said. I'd asked the Sid if he could have everything set up by the end of the week. I have lots of space, I added. Well, if you already have an area selected, it should only take a day or two at most. I can have 4 associates working on it by the end of the week. And will you be coming by to do all the adjustments? I'm pretty sure it'll be Dwayne doing that, the Sid said. It's what he does. I'm just a sales rep. He'll be overseeing the whole thing. So end up, we'll end up, oh, sorry. So we'll be up and running by Saturday, Sandy asked, scanning the brochure for the third, maybe fourth time. Guaranteed, he said. That's what I like to hear, I said, standing up. I thought you were going to listen to what Jen said about staying out of the game for a while, Sandy asked as we left the building. She didn't say that exactly, I said, a playful smile, as I looked down at her walking beside me. Oh, she didn't, did she? She suggested that we stay out of the game for a while, I reminded her. But that was when we were going to Elite. We're not going there anymore, are we? If whoever it is hacking our game through through the Elite feed, then having our own feed should keep him out. And why do you think that? Why not? How's he going to know we're using our own feed? And what do you know about hacking or splicing or whatever they call it these days? I don't. But I know if you're hacking from one feed, you pretty well have to stick to it. That might be true. I can't say I agree with it, but it makes sense in a strange sort of way, I guess. You guess. I'm glad to hear that, I smiled again. Let me take you out for lunch and celebrate. I chose a nice place, well established in one of the upper levels of the city. I love the city, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those high-end entitled pricks who looks down on the other levels. I've never done that. My parents never allowed that sort of behavior. But that's all history of another sort, isn't it? Family, I mean. But still, I always get nostalgic whenever I walk the streets. Not many people these days walk the streets for pleasure anymore. The ones who do usually have a Securo drone with them that's armed, almost as if they're going down to the lower levels. Those are the ones they warn you to stay out of. And I generally listen to the warnings like that. I'm not a fool. I'm not about to go down to the lower levels for kicks, although I have. But they tell you, don't go down to the lower 8. I've heard it all my life. And like I said, for the most part, I listen when people tell me that. I've got friends who have other friends who know that sort of people, or know people who know that sort of people. If I want to get the latest side drugs, I know who to ask. That's what it's all about in this world, knowing who to ask. It's nothing like Ricky's world. Do you remember I don't even know her name, but the avatar in your game? I said, do you know her name? Jeline? The other one, the cop, Helen. I haven't thought about her in a long time. She's all I've been thinking about, I said. Well, there's one other thing. There's one other thing I've been thinking about a lot. I smiled and she laughed. Settle down there, Lagira, she smiled. I growled at her, leaning in and biting her neck. It's funny, I said after a moment. I just now remembered his name. The Sid said that it'd be like that. We wouldn't remember everything right away, but slowly over the week. We've been, what, 2, 3 times? 3. 3. And it feels like I've already lived a lifetime. Do you come out of there feeling bruised and battered up? I told you, I didn't have a good first day. Not until they fixed that glitch, she said, and I felt like a loser forgetting what she'd been through. At least I'd had Jen with me. And Jimmy. We're going to have to figure out who Jimmy is, I said. Why, you mean he's not your brother? Sandy laughed. No, I mean, we have to find him before he finds us. Whoever this killer is, he's already tried to kill Jeline in the real world. In point of fact, he already has. But now he has to go back into the game and kill her there. I don't know why he has to, because she's still in a coma, Sandy said. And he knows that. What do you mean? She's not dead in this world. I'm guessing the only reason he knows that is because they keep playing it on the holo. His only thought is that back in the VR world, she's still alive. Maybe until she's dead in the game, she's a ghost image, a shadow on the screen, so to speak. So, so you're alive, remember? You lost me, I said. The AP didn't tell us she's still alive. Not at first, but maybe he knows that because he hasn't killed her in the game, like he did with Wit. She can't die out here until she's dead in the game, and he knows that. He kills her in there, she dies out here. You know how impossible that sounds, right? I said. I'm sorry, I'm kind of making this up as I go along, she said. So what are you saying? If we want to catch him, we have to get him inside the game. I said. We can't just let him kill Jolene. He kills her in there, she dies out here. That almost makes sense, I said. What do you mean, almost? What about the AP, Jared? He died twice. But that was the game doing it to him, remember? They were letting him play along in real time. They didn't tell him he was playing a part in the game. That's what Jen was saying. He died in the game because the game killed him. Maybe Jimmy didn't know he was with the AP until after he killed him. Maybe Jimmy thought he was just part of the game. He died before Jimmy showed up, so maybe he didn't know about him and only found out after. And he found out because he was checking Jen out? Because he wasn't expecting to meet another time guide? She nodded. So he killed him, called him up on the roof, and bashed his brains in. He didn't die right away, though, not until he drowned in that puddle. We have to go into the game and rescue Jolene because that's the only time we'll be able to get in there without him piggybacking in on our feed. And then what? How do I know? Like you said, I'm making this up as I go along. 3 days later, Dwayne showed up with a crew to set up the game in the spare room we'd cleaned out. There you go. I've finished it until garbage until next week when I will be reading the conclusion. And yeah, so I'll have to be going through that and redoing that, obviously, because there's a lot of stuff in there that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, because I gotta get it. I gotta look into it, rethink it, change a few things here and there. But by and large, I think it works okay. I'm I kind of like it, and like I said, I did it on the NaNoWriMo challenge, where it was after my accident at work, and I hadn't written in 10 months, 11 actually, because it's November, and so then I wrote that as the NaNoWriMo challenge, and I wrote it by the seat of my pants. I had no idea. It's really funny because I thought to myself, I got to start with something. And so then I did, I thought I was going to write something about the Komagata Maru, which is a ship that sailed into Vancouver Harbor in 1912. And it was all loaded full of Indians who came from India. And at that time, when India was a part of the English Empire, if you were a citizen of the English Empire, you didn't need to have any papers or anything as long as you had a passport and your ID, basically. You didn't need to have visas or anything of that sort. You could travel anywhere within the British Commonwealth and nobody would question you. However, if you weren't white, it weren't right. So when the Indians came, they wouldn't let them off the boat, and it was very, very shameful. One of the darkest, blackest spots uh, in Canadian history, basically. And so then I was going to write a story about that, but that's something that needed a lot of research, and I had just decided 2 days before that that's what I was going to do, and so that didn't work. So then I had in my files somewhere 5,000 words of a story that I had started that I just called a beginner's guide to time travel because I didn't know what else I was going to do with it. And I didn't know where that was going or anything. And I just started it and then I never did anything with it. I just left So I found that, and I went, you know what? I should just write this. And I had 5,000 words, and I was 1 day, 2 days behind on the NaNoWriMo thing, and I went, well, okay, this will get me caught up, kinda. And so then I started writing that, but I didn't have a plot. I didn't have a clue. And that's when I did my very first, what do you call it, serial. And and I figured, hey, if I just keep myself entertained, and if I just write it for my own enjoyment, and just kind of like leave it hanging every time it ends and stuff like that, maybe it'll work. And I think it did. And so now that's how I write everything. Everything is just everything. It froze. Oh well. Yeah, everything is just like by the seat of my pants. That's how I write now, and I love it. I mean, I'm writing the what do you call it? Jack of Diamonds. Seat of my pants. Don't know what's gonna go on. I don't have any idea. When I write my novellas, I just I don't know where they're going. The only way I can answer that is that I use the phrase "what if." What if this happens? What if that happens? What if it's this and what if it's that? That's like the time travel. What if it's not time travel? What if it's a VR game and nobody knows? And I thought, oh, there you go. Because what do I know about time travel? No dick. I can't make that shit up because, you need science. You need all that other stuff. It's like, no, I don't. Just make it into a VR game. Done. Perfect. Works for me. And I can say this because there's only 2 chapters left. So it's like, if you haven't figured it out by now, you haven't been paying attention and you've just joined late. That's all. Yeah. But so that's what I'm doing with my what do you call it? Trojan cycle. It's going to be 12 novellas, and I wanted to write it over a space of a couple of years, but that ain't gonna happen. I'm going to start working on the second novella in about a week, I would think, and then just go from there. And then I'll have my book coming out. If you want a copy, email me, DM. That's what the word is, isn't that what they call it? DM. Yeah, DM me. Give me your name, and then I will send you my address, and you can send me a postcard. I don't want email. I want a postcard where you live, so that I can see what city you're from, and then I'll put it in a scrapbook, and then every time a story comes out, a new story, I can contact you and say, hey, I have a new story available, and you will be the first one to get first crack at it, and they'll all be the first 100 will all be signed and numbered. And if you buy the first one, and hopefully all of them, if I live long enough, because I'll go up till I'm 92, because I'm 68 right now, almost 69. Yeah. So I figure 25 books, that's 75 novellas, all different colors. And you'll be able to know which book it is just by the color it is. The African Songbook, black. The Tales of the Vienna Woods, green. The first one that I'm doing, plum. And things like that. Hopefully, that is, provided I stay sane, provided I don't come down with any, what do you call it? Major debilitating diseases. Cancer. 1 out of every 2, isn't that what it is? Something like that. There's only 2 of us here, so that doesn't look good. Dementia. Yeah, we got that in the family too, right? Just like, what the fuck? Whatever. It is what it is. Life goes on until it doesn't. That's what I say. And I learned that the hard way, haven't I? Anyways, I'm going to call it a day because it has been 1 hour, and I actually managed to do it in an hour's time, which is what the whole goal of is, just to do 1 hour, and I managed. So until next week, I am your host, Ben Woestenburg, and this has been Breakfast After My Brother. At yeah, after breakfast with my brother, that's what it is. And I'll see you next week with the conclusion to A Beginner's Guide to Time Travel. Until then, ciao for now, arrivederci, and I will catch you later. Bye-bye.